I used to think that like success is just monetary value as well. Like growing up again with my parents are immigrant parents as well, and they've always just kind of taught me like, okay, you grow up, go to school, get a job, earn money, and then that's your life. You just continue to earn money.
Yeah,
just work.
Earning money is Welcome to Too Many Thoughts and Too Many Problems. We are back here with the one and only Mike, Saint Mike.
What's up, everybody? I'm back. I got 2 weeks in a row, so I must have done something right last time.
Yeah, man. Dude, people always talk about you. They're always like, damn, bring Mike back on.
You can't gas me up like this with these lies.
It's not lies. I'll show you the DMs right now. They're like, well, we love Mike. Bring him on. Yeah, and then we got a new guest here today, Mr. Taeho.
Hello. It's nice to meet you guys.
Yeah. How about we give a little self-introduction here, Taeho, because it's your first time on this podcast. First time on my channel, actually.
Right. Yeah, excited. I'm also nervous, but
Yeah.
My name is Taeho, guys. I'm from Canada. Not same place as Mike, but same country, obviously. I play volleyball. Met these guys through volleyball, Sunday volleyball, and glad to be here. It's gonna be a good time.
What do you do here, Taeho?
What I do here?
Yeah.
I'm an exchange student.
Right.
So I go to the University of Alberta back home, but here I'm at Seoul National University.
Oh,
representing.
He's
back.
Tok Khan.
No, don't do that.
He's
now.
a smart kid.
Don't do that now.
Are you going for like full year here or?
Yeah, so I'm actually here till July. Got here last August.
Oh.
Came a little early so I can like settle in a little bit first, and then September to July, and then I'm out of here.
That's awesome. Do you plan to like come back after your university?
I was actually thinking that. I was talking to my girlfriend, and it's like looking at different possibilities, and I even thought that before I came here that, if I do school here and I kind of like, what it's like to be in Korea, maybe I'll come back here and teach for a couple of years. Hopefully. I'm in education, so it'd be nice to teach something that's not English. I've never really liked teaching English, so if I can actually teach within my, my field of study, then it'd be nice.
What's your field of study?
Physics.
Oh, okay.
Physics would be nice.
He really is the smart guy.
Yeah.
Hey, man, don't
really
do
smart,
that. Yeah. It's high school level physics. It's fun. Something I find interesting. So.
Yeah. What year are you right now?
Right now, this would have been my 4th year, but obviously on exchange, I can't get all of my credits for it. I get some of my credits, so I have to go back and do my practicums for another year. So I got 2 semesters of student teaching, and then I'll be all good from there. Okay. Graduate and then see where life takes us.
So we have an actual teacher here.
Yeah.
Like there's me and Will. We teach, but like Taeho's an actual teacher. Like he goes to school for this.
Yeah, he's got his education license and everything.
Soon we'll be there. I'm excited.
So you've been almost about a year. Have you been to Korea before your actual study abroad?
Oh yeah. Obviously before COVID, I try to come every couple of years with my parents because I got a lot of relatives here. I got my grandma, grandpa on both sides. And, it's nice to see the family once in a while. But I think, obviously, living here versus being here on, like, travel kind of is very different. So I want to experience that. So I'm back.
So as you're finishing your year here, your year and finishing university, I just want to ask, and Mike also moving into more performance, I want to ask you guys, like, so far, what is your guys' greatest achievements in Korea and also outside of Korea?
Okay. Who should we start with?
You got this one.
All right.
Okay. My greatest achievement. So, full disclosure, Will actually asked us some of these questions ahead of time, so I get the chance to think about it. I did have a tough time thinking about what my greatest achievement is.
Okay.
I've been on this earth for 30 years. So, what's the greatest thing that I've achieved?
We can start with like Korea first, because we've been here for like as like a period of time.
As far as my greatest achievement in Korea, I would definitely say becoming a like consistent performer. I had never performed music live period before I moved to Korea.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I started out doing covers with a band when I lived in Ilsan, and now I've transitioned into performing all my own originals and doing it pretty consistently most weeks. I have at least 1 show, sometimes 2, like on the odd occasion 3.
And how long have you been trying to do music for?
Like 7 years, 8 years that I've been taking it serious. That's not when I started making music. I started making music before that, but one day I was like, okay, like I gotta buckle down and like actually try to learn this, like learn the ins and outs of recording, mixing, mastering, like writing. So that's been about 7 years.
Dude, that's an awesome achievement then. Like, you've been going at it for a while, and then you're finally performing the music that you love, you know?
Yeah, the crazy thing is, like, I never even expected to perform. Like, I always assumed I wouldn't be an artist that performed if there really is a thing like that. Like, I'd be one of those internet guys that just, like, makes music and puts it on the internet. And
On
it's
SoundCloud.
like, oh, yeah.
SoundCloud. Yeah.
I'd be one of those guys.
SoundCloud hype.
Yeah, because, like, these guys know me. I'm a low-key guy. Like, I'm relatively laid back. I'm not super in your face. I don't really strike people as the kind of person who would be on stage. But, you know, I got given an opportunity, and I could have said yes. I could have said no. I'm glad that I did say yes, and now I put myself in a position where I'm being asked to perform at different places, and I've gotten the chance to grace a couple different stages with some, you know, other very good performers. So I would say that's my greatest achievement in Korea.
But what pushed you to perform then, since you've been, you know, going at music for so long?
Good
Is
question.
it Korea or?
That's definitely part of it. I feel like my life in Korea, like while I'm the same person, my life is so different than it was back home. I feel like I'm almost a completely different person. So it's like I'm able to try and do different things that I probably wouldn't have gone out of my way to do when I was back in Toronto. Even with that being said, though, like when I was doing the performances with the band and doing the covers, like they approached me. Like they knew that I made songs, I was putting them out, and they needed a singer because they already had a guitarist, they had a pianist, they had bassist, drummer, and they're like, yo, we need somebody to sing. We know you sing and you make music. So I told them no.
Oh, what?
Like,
yeah,
I'm good.
I was like, nah, I'm chilling, man.
Yeah.
And
No
then
way.
they just kept asking me because like Ilsan's like a small community. So you keep seeing the same people at a bar, and they're my friends,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So I was like, nah, I don't want to do it, man. Like,
These Koreans, by the way? Or
no, they're all foreigners.
all
Well,
foreigners?
the guitarist is a Korean,
Oh, okay.
but everybody else was a foreigner. And they just kept asking me. They're like, yo, okay, just come to a practice,
Yeah.
right? Just come to a practice, see how it is. And I went and we just did a couple covers. Everything kind of vibed well, and then we started doing that. But then COVID hit. Couldn't do too many in-person performances. All the members of the band, pretty much, not all of them, but most of them left. So they either went back to the States or to the UK and everything. And it was a couple years, didn't perform. And then, yeah, so one of the friends that I made when I was in Ilsan, he moved to Seoul, and he was doing like some hip-hop shows and stuff. And he's like, yo, we need to fill a slot. Like, one of our guys dropped out. Do you want to perform?
Oh, facts.
Yeah, so I was like, yeah, sure. I got a couple songs. It was nerve-wracking because I was doing my own music for the first time ever. Like,
yeah.
before I was doing, you know, covers, funk covers and stuff. But tried it out. I didn't die, so I was like, fuck it. I'll just keep trying again. I'll do it even more, you know?
Yeah, what's the worst that's gonna happen, right?
Yeah.
As long as you don't die.
Yeah, it didn't kill me, so I just kept trying again and again. The first performance went well enough that, like, the other performers were like, yo, get him back on. Like, we're going to do this again. We're just going to keep running it.
Nice. And ever since you've been performing and people ask for your name now. Yeah. And you got fans now.
I repeat my
Expect
name.
you to be there. Yeah.
I repeat my name like 900 times a show, so I make sure that people. I make sure people remember it. I also have like business cards now, so I hand it out to people.
Oh, that's sick.
Do you have a sign too, and you're just holding up? It's like, Mike.
It's just my face.
Yeah.
I have a mask that I put on of my own face. No, it's yeah, it's been good. It's been nice to be out and do all this stuff, and it is a weird feeling having people talk to you and they're like, yo, I listened to that song you put out like 2 years ago.
Oh,
like, and I'm like, what? I thought only I listened to my music. I didn't realize other people did.
It's like you see the view counts like 10 views. That's just me 10 times. Come on, you'd be lying.
Like, no way. People are here listening to my music. It's probably a different feeling, eh?
It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting doing a show and then sitting down and having people come up to you and talk to you like you're not just an ordinary person. You know, like I'll do a show and I'm just literally sitting down and people be like, oh my god, like that was so cool.
Yeah.
Like
What's your next single?
I'm like, you can do it too, honestly, if you just put in like a little bit of effort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. So I would say that's my biggest accomplishment in Korea.
So far that's awesome. All right, you wanna mention yours?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I've only been here for what I can count is like 7 months, 8 months.
Right.
Right. I'm only here for a temporary amount of time for now, at least.
Yeah.
So, I had to really think about this. Like Mike said earlier, we'll give us a little sneak peek at the questions, and I think I was also struggling to find one at first because, like, when I hear the word accomplishment, kind of, it's like I think of something big, right? Something kind of like that stands out, pops out. But for me, I had to did a little reflecting. Really thought about it, and I was like, one of the main reasons I came to Korea was actually to learn Korean. Now, I spoke it at home with my parents and all that kind of stuff, but it was never really at like a proficient level. It was never really fluent. I think I had like the accent down just because when you speak with your parents and that kind of stuff, you know it. But my vocabulary wasn't the best. My grammar, honestly, it still is not the best, but...
And you're doing Konglish.
Yeah. You know, when you don't know a word, you throw an English word in there and you hope that someone understands, right?
And you just say Korean, the Korean style or Korean way.
Exactly, right? You just if I didn't know a word here, like sometimes I still do it. I don't know a Korean word. I just say the English word in a Korean accent, and I'm just like, please understand what I'm
Can you give me an example?
Yeah.
Give me an example.
I'll be at Subway, right?
Yeah.
And I was actually ordering a sub, and I asked for lettuce.
Okay.
But here they call it 양상추.
Yeah.
But I didn't know like the Korean word for 양상추, even though it was on like the window. I didn't see it.
Yeah.
And I was like, can I get lettuce?
Lettuce.
And they're like,
lettuce.
what? And then I was like, reading it, 양상추. Like, 네, 알겠습니다. I'm like, oh, that was embarrassing. Definitely coming here and obviously surrounding myself with as many like Korean speakers as I can at the school. Definitely helps, you know. You force yourself to talk in like the way that they talk, and sometimes maybe my parents won't appreciate that as much, you know, just because I'm learning like kind of slang here and there, shorten words, because Koreans love to do that. They like, for the ice Americano, stuff like that, right? So they shorten it, and so I've kind of been more fluent, I guess, and it's really helped with just like smoothing out like how I talk to people, and it's kind of become a lot more easier for me to conversate with my grandparents too. I've realized that. Because I told you I used to visit every couple of years to see my grandparents, and so back then it was really hard for me to hold a decent conversation. But now that I'm here,
so that make you feel more connected with like I guess your roots per se.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's one of the big reasons, right? Like I just never got to live in Korea like that. I mean, I lived until I was 3, but what do you remember from when you were 2 years old, right? So coming here, learning the language was a big part because I wanted it to be part of my identity, right? When people ask me what you are, I'm like, oh, I'm Korean. Can you speak Korean? I never want to be the guy that's like, oh, a little bit. I kind of want to like, for my own sake, be like proud that I can speak Korean. So
proud of yourself.
I think is a big accomplishment for me personally.
For sure. That's awesome. Have your parents noticed? Like, have you talked to your parents?
Yeah, I text them a lot. I text them every day.
Okay.
And sometimes I'll call them, but mostly I text them. And then they've realized like I use like a little bit like text slang sometimes. Like, you know, like in English you got LOL, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Some of that in Korean. And they understand it because they obviously speak it and they know more about it than I do. But sometimes I'll put that in there like, oh, you know these kind of words now? And I use like harder. 잘했네. Like, you're actually doing something useful over there. You're not just partying, having fun. It's like, I'm here.
Not only those things.
I mean, not only. Yeah, I mean, I do those
from the parties.
Oh yeah, come on now. You can't not do that. But definitely, once my mom specifically realized I know like a little bit more grammar and like vocabulary, it kind of made me happy on the inside too. You know, just
for sure.
being able to communicate with more relatives that don't speak English too. So it's good.
That's awesome.
What about you, Will?
I guess my greatest accomplishment is kind of encapsulate both like in and out of Korea. Again, when I was thinking about it too, I thought about it the same way you did too. Like when you think about achievements, you kind of think of like milestones. You know, you think of things that are like kind of big in your life. At least I do. You know, like finishing university or like getting a big job or, you know, hitting like 1 million subscribers on YouTube one day, hopefully. Hopefully.
You make it happen. Make it happen.
Okay. We have this time stamped.
Right. Today, but then I was like, you know, I've been living here for a while and I've always been kind of like battling this idea of like what is successful in my eyes versus what is successful in my parents' eyes and like society's eyes. And I've always been trying to achieve something that isn't traditionally, I guess, like successful. And so one of my greatest achievements is probably just like being more comfortable and with who I am, I guess, like being confident in who I am, yeah, and being able to identify myself and really establish myself as a person or as an individual while being here, because I've always felt like I wasn't that cool or confident in myself, you know. I always kind of felt like I was less than, especially just growing up in like a fairly predominantly like white area or Latino area, where I grew up as like one of the only Asian kids in my school, and so always being compared to like other people and always being told that you're less than, and then, you know, growing up not meeting my parents' expectations as well, I always just kind of felt less of myself. And then coming here and establishing myself and, you know, starting from like ground zero essentially, and then, you know, coming to Korea, also you get to kind of start over. Like you were saying, like you're a completely different person from here versus like back in the States. I was able to kind of feel like I started zero from here. And then after 5 years here, I'm like, wow, I'm a completely different person from who I was back then, you know? And I think that's like my greatest accomplishment so far. Like I'm getting to a point where I'm happy to be who I am. Like I'm confident to be who I am.
It's like a reset. You had like like another chance, right?
Right,
just
right.
do your own thing. Make like your own identity, be who you want to be, kind of thing.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm not afraid to, like, if someone brings me down, I'm just like, okay, whatever. You know, as I am who I am.
But do you think that also comes with age too? Because I feel like with age, it's very different, right? At some ages, you feel more to that pressure, especially when you're in high school and like middle school and all that kind of stuff.
Where you're constantly trying to like compete for popularity or trying to compare yourself to other people. Yeah, it gets to a point where you just don't care as much about others and how they reflect off of you. You start to understand that like you are your own person, and you know, it doesn't matter how hard you compare yourself, you're never gonna be that person, or that person's never gonna be you. You know. And there's also like, for example, like we play sports, and I still compare myself a little bit, but at the end of the day, there's always gonna be someone, I guess, better in a way. So the only person that you should be trying to get better than is like yourself.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's good.
So that's helped me a lot in terms of like, why am I so constantly feeling like I'm less than someone else, you know? Because who am I? Like, there's no reason to compare myself to another person because we're all individuals.
Yeah, of course. The playing field is never really even.
Right.
Like everybody has their hardships, and everyone has like things that benefit them as well. Like, so, for example, like you said, we play sports. We play with like people at a variety of different levels. Yeah. You know, like I can hit a ball, but there's people that can pass better than me. You know, there's people that serve better than me. Like, everybody's gonna have their strengths. So as long as you're working towards something, like, I think that's important versus like I need to be better than that person specifically. Yeah. It's like that's kind of a losing battle, I think.
For sure. Yeah, like competition's nice, like for sure. Like it helps you grow and stuff.
I like that.
Yeah. It is fun too, you know, competition is nice, and trying to be like better than this person for that like little rivalry is also nice. But if you let it like consume you, that's like a different story, you know, where you start to beat yourself up and like, why can't I be better than this person? Or,
you can go down a pretty bad rabbit hole with that one.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So that's been my greatest achievement so far. Have you guys have any other achievements that are outside of Korea that you want to?
Achievements. I feel like even just getting to Korea in general was like a big achievement.
Oh, for sure.
Like, it's hard for me to think about it now because I've been living here like 4 years plus now, but there was a point in time where I didn't even know that this was possible. Like, there was a point in time where I had almost resigned myself to like, I'm just going to get a job in like Brampton, like around Toronto, and I'm just going to live here. And that's just going to be my life. And shouts out to the people that did that. Like, I'm not hating on that. Like, there's tons of people I went to high school with, middle school with, that like are perfectly happy with the lives that they chose, and they decided to stay where we're from. And either they found a job, or they got married, or they had kids and whatever, and they're very happy with that. I knew that I didn't want to do that, but I didn't know how I wanted to go about changing that. And I got pretty lucky with this. Like, I don't even think I would have been able to discover this without help. But I think taking the leap to even come here, like, I don't know too many people personally that have taken the leap to just leave their country and just go live somewhere else, especially somewhere they've never been.
Right.
Like I had never been to Asia before I moved here. Especially if you don't know the language, you don't know what the landscape is gonna be like.
It's scary.
Yeah.
It can be, yeah. I tried not to think about it too much when I came. I was like, you know, let me just get there, make sure that I actually have a place to live, like a house and a job.
One
so
step at a time.
yeah, so I don't get stuck. But yeah, just thinking back on, because this is what 2023 now. I came here in 2019. Just thinking back to like 2018 and how I felt at that like dead end job that I was at, and then to where I am now. Like obviously, there's been ups and downs the whole time, but I think that just getting here has been a big accomplishment.
For sure. Did I tell you that my dad, like back in 2019, my dad was like, "You're gonna go to Korea? Aren't they gonna bomb you guys over there?" Like, I'm like, "What do you mean, Dad?"
Depends what side you go to.
Yeah. I'm like, they're at war like all the time, aren't they? I'm like, pretty sure they're
Have you
okay.
noticed
It's
they
like,
don't
when's
care?
the last time you heard about any bombings going on in South Korea?
They really don't care about that kind of stuff over here.
They're not worried about that.
No one worries about that here.
Yeah.
It's cool.
But it's like same way with reverse media. Like everyone in Korea here kind of thinks that America is just like shooting at guns all the time. You know, it doesn't help that the social media, especially in America, is like it's just so awful right now. Like in terms of like social media, it's pretty bad. Like it feels like there's a school shooting every time. But like my friends are okay, my family's still okay, and they're still living their day-to-day life. You know, so social media plays a big role too, for sure. Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, because like the violence is always going to be spectacular. You know, it's like it's going to be easy to sell that to anybody. You know, hey, look, school shooting.
Yeah.
Hey, look, church shooting.
Yeah.
This person killed somebody in a Walmart or a supermarket or something like that. Like it's a very easy sell, and it's kind of a disgusting thing to think about that it's like people will do that, but then at the same time, it's like business is business, right?
Yeah.
So what can we really say about it?
Oh, you Taeho, what was your thoughts before? Like, did you think that you would consider living here versus like before you started your study abroad? Like maybe you were just thinking like, oh, I'm just gonna go there. I'm just gonna have my fun, my study abroad time, like get some relaxation time or whatever you were thinking, right? Like, how's it now versus then?
Yeah, a little fine. You be careful with that. I think getting out of high school, I was obviously growing up in Canada my entire life, basically. Never really in touch with myself, right? And that's one of the big reasons I came here. But I think as I graduated high school, went to university and started doing like my education stuff, they teach you a lot of cool things in education, by the way. Like they teach you a lot of like self stuff because you have to learn about yourself to teach other people, right? To understand yourself. So as I was doing some reflecting and stuff, I was like, it'd be nice to go to Korea for a change, not to live, but as an exchange. And I think in my second year, I was very interested in that. So I did some research on it, but obviously it was during COVID. And so they already sent a group out for that winter term when I wanted to go to. And so they said, we'll subscribe you for the next one, for the next fall winter terms, like for the 1 year. And just you let me know if you're interested and we'll hit you back up with that. So they hit me up. And, during that little 8-month span I was thinking about it, I said, oh, yeah, I think I'm going to do this. It'd be a really good time to get in touch and be able to call myself, as a Korean. Obviously, they call it here Gyopo, right? A lot of people know that term.
Gyopo.
And unfortunately, that's a title that I probably cannot escape. But I want to feel more like I'm Korean. My parents are very, very Korean. They are, so I figured, I'll do this for exchange. I didn't always think that I would want to decide to move here after, graduating, which right now I'm still uncertain as well. But I thought it'd be a decent idea, especially if I find the opportunity in my study abroad fun. And like you asked, I did want to have fun, obviously, because, not everyone gets to go on exchange, and exchange is a good time, I think. So I want to have fun, do a lot of research and studying, of course. Mom, in case you're watching.
Mom, Dad.
Do a lot of studying.
He's always studying hard, even when he's playing volleyball, when he's sitting on the bench warming, he's like on his notepad.
Gotta do all my
hard.
homework, my readings in advance for 2 weeks, right?
Very responsible with the studies. That is true.
See, they can vouch.
Yeah, I got you.
But obviously having fun with that as well, right? I live my life up because, not everyone gets a second chance. So.
Yeah, and you don't want to come here all the way to Korea and like just do the same thing that you could be doing back in the States too,
exactly,
or back in Canada,
Yeah, you want to do something different, right?
Experience something a little bit different. Otherwise, there's no reason to come here.
And there's a lot of opportunity to do fun stuff here. Like especially in Seoul, it's just everywhere you turn, there's places to be, there's people, there's stuff to do. So it would be a shame if you came here and didn't take advantage. Like I've seen people come here and like, not that this is wrong, but they were like very down the line. I'm here to save money. Like, I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
I'm here to save money. I'm gonna give like 75% of my paycheck. Like I'm gonna send that home. I'm just gonna live on like almost nothing, not go anywhere, not do anything. Like I've worked with people like that.
Yeah.
And you know, good for them for having that single-mindedness to like save money. But you know, it's like, you're in another country, why not try and enjoy yourself and go do stuff? But it's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
But who am I, right? I'm just
also
some guy.
Korea's pretty like affordable, so you can do a lot of things on a budget. So I feel like you should take advantage of what you can. Even if they're on that budget, you know, you can always find ways to
Have fun.
have
either
fun
way.
a little
Especially
bit,
in this big city.
Yeah.
But if you're not careful with that, I can speak from experience. It adds up really quickly.
for
though.
sure.
You know, you have fun one night, you have fun 2 nights. Next thing you know, your bank account's looking. You gotta budget well.
Yo, mom, dad, tuition's a little expensive.
Hey, I'm gonna need a little booster here.
And it's the little things too. It's like the taxis. Like
Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah,
you forget you forget how far you are,
Right.
or you can't get a taxi. Now they want to ask you for like 30,000 won or something like
Yeah.
that to go home.
It adds up for sure.
You do that 2 days in a row, you're out like
Oh,
almost $100.
Yeah.
2 trips.
fortunately, you don't have to tip here though.
Yes.
That is
Oh.
good. And the food, especially when you want to eat a good
Yeah.
meal, is usually really, really cheap. So
Oh
you
my
don't have to
God.
worry about that.
Yeah. Okay.
It's good times though.
It's good
It's
times. It's good times.
Very, very good times.
All right. So moving on from achievements, you know, you guys. So achievements are one thing. So, but then what about like success? Do you feel like even though you've made these achievements or you've accomplished a plethora of achievements, do you feel like you're successful right now, or do you feel like you're succeeding? And what do you think success is? You know, now and versus then.
I'm gonna toss it to Taeho first. I started the last one. I'm gonna let
Sure.
Taeho start.
Ooh, all right. Put me on the spot here. Success, right? I mean, everyone measures success differently for sure.
Yeah.
I think growing up in my Korean household with immigrant parents, success for them, from what I've seen firsthand, is working hard, get that money, get that bread, right? And just be comfortable. And I think that's, like, financially at least, is what they're referring to, being comfortable financially. Because, you know, being an immigrant parents, I can't speak, you know, on their behalf too much, but it's not easy to, you know, I'm assuming, to come to a new country with no, you know, not that much support, and then, you know, work, you know, raise a family.
Don't know the
you
language.
Don't know the language. Yeah, I mean,
Don't know the culture.
they had to hustle. They
Yeah.
had to, you know, put the work in to learn English. They had to put the work in to find jobs that'll take them, give them chances, right? And then from there, keep those jobs and work hard. And I think we've been definitely very fortunate with the way that we've been doing it. So it's worked out, and, you know, it's nice to see that as some kind of success for him, for sure. But I think because of my upbringing that way, my success for me would be living comfortably. And, you know, I don't need to be living lavish. It's nice, obviously. Everyone wants to live, you know, if possible, live lavish, you know, have that, like, that resource, you know, that wealth. But for me, I've always been okay with, like, just comfortable life, you know, just something that's going to keep me afloat. Hopefully, you know, fingers crossed, you know, just not having to live too much on paycheck to paycheck, just, you know, do what I want to do and be able to take care of my future family, my significant other, you know, my girlfriend right now, obviously. But just, I think that's what it is, just being able to not worry too much about the little things, like where next meal is going to come from. And so I'm willing to put in that hard work, I think, and that'll be my success. Success in that aspect can also come from happiness too. I think happiness is a big thing for a lot of people. As long as you're happy, you know, you don't have to worry too much about how much your job's paying you. If you enjoy what you're doing, because some people work hard for the money, but they're absolutely miserable, right? Because they work for 8 hours a day, absolutely miserable, come home and their mood's already done. Like, sure, you know, every 2 weeks or whatever, you get that paycheck and you're looking happy, but then that lasts a day and then you have to go back to work. So I think there's two things there, definitely. Living comfortably and then just being able to be happy overall with your life.
That's nice.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, that's very different from, like, it's nice to see, like, I guess the Western side and then also the Western Korean or Asian side, because then, you know, I teach kids here and you know, I ask them, like, what's your fantasy job and things like that.
Yeah.
And it's always like some ridiculous job. But like the most important thing for them is always like, how much is the salary? You know, like how much are we getting paid for this? You know, they have fun with the little fantasy jobs and stuff, but like it's always like, oh, $5 million.
Yeah.
And it's like extra zeros, as many zeros as you can.
Of course.
Some kids even put like just they fill up the zeros for the entire page. You know, it's like 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, like 9 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. It's like it's very different. Like I think Koreans here in Korea focus very much that success is like materialistic things. Monetary things. And then even my kids, they ask me like the first question they ask me when I first meet them, or some of the first questions, is always like, yo, a teacher, do you have like a Lamborghini back in the States? Do you have like a big house? Do you have like, you know, a swimming pool? Like, it's asking me about these things, right?
Yeah, I gave all that up so I could come here and teach.
Exactly.
Gave them my Lambo and my mansion, so I could live in an apartment and teach English here.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, teacher, you must be rich. And like, why do you think that? And like, because you came from America and things like that. And it's like, all right, well, I'm not. Like this mediocre.
Hate to break it to you, but
most people aren't.
Yeah. So it's like, it's very different. Like success for them is just monetary values and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it's nice to see that, like, you know, even for Koreans coming from the Western side, we're able to kind of distinguish that a little bit differently, you know, and kind of say like, hey, you know, money isn't like everything.
Yeah. I mean, growing up in school, when teachers ever asked you, at least in kindergarten, probably hard to remember, but teachers always ask, like, what do you want to do? And there's like two types of kids. The kids that said, make a lot of money. And the kids that had their dream jobs, right? And even if they didn't make money. I know a couple kids who said they want to be plumbers.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, plumbers do, I mean, to be fair, plumbers do make good money.
They could be Super Mario,
but
bro.
like,
jumping in the pipes.
What does a kid at that age know about being a plumber, though? It's like
nothing.
Like your dad must have been a plumber. Or somebody in your family must have, because like that's not a job that kids just know.
Right.
Like you must have somebody in your family that does like a trade like that for you to want to emulate them.
Or their bathroom's just always clogged. I gotta fix this bathroom.
They see the plumber every like 2 weeks. They're like, oh, hey man, it's you again. No, but you know, and like you said, Mike, obviously if someone in their family is a plumber, right, they probably, you know, experience that firsthand, and they probably think that's fun.
Yeah.
And for them, right? And so they don't look at it as a job to make a lot of money.
Right.
They look at it as a job that's fun, something that they're interested in. Then there's, I guess, what you said over here in Korea. Some kids are like, oh, as long as it's got 6 zeros in it, I'm okay with that.
Right.
And it's like, well, what if you don't find it fun?
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't care, I'm making money.
Yeah.
Making money is fun for them. You know, that's like, that is the fun.
I can respect that though.
But it's also probably just like
I can respect it.
But it's also what they just got, like, it's the same thing though with these kids. Like you said, like, you know, the plumber kid, they're just emulating their parents.
Yeah.
These kids here, they're also just emulating their parents as well, because you know, like some of these, especially at my school, is like this private school, right? A lot of these kids are like rich kids essentially, and so they're like, I want to be making like X amount of figures, and so their mom and dad is like probably never home for them, you know.
That's true.
And so they're like, oh yeah, so this is what I need to do as well.
This is normal.
This is normal for me.
Yeah.
And you can tell this is even more like obvious because some of these kids are like extremely needy for attention. You know, it's like even more so than like even for a young kid, they really want that attention. And it's like, oh, your parents are probably just working all the time.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you just don't get that attention. But, you know, it is what it is. You know, kids grow up and they just follow what they see.
Yeah. You adopt what your parents, obviously, what they exhibit.
Yeah.
Right? If they exhibit working day and night to get that bread, that's what they're gonna grow up thinking. That's what you gotta do. So
it leads to a lot of issues though. Like at my school, the kids also, like, I live in a pretty well-to-do area, and like the kids also generally their families have money.
Yeah.
And you can tell like the most spoiled kids are the ones who do the worst in school, because it's almost like, why do I have to care about this? You know, it's like I have things. Like I have money. I don't have to care about school. Like I don't have to care about English or you. Like, I don't I don't have to respect you. Like
I get whatever my mom and dad. I get whatever I want. My mom and dad gives it to me. Yeah. Just swipe a card and it's Gucci.
So, yeah, it causes issues, and I think that it causes like larger societal issues, but that's like a completely different topic.
They keep going up that way. It's gonna obviously cause issues at one point, right? Yeah,
for sure.
That's a big.
Yeah, that's like a whole like different can of worms. Like, talk about like the deprivation of society.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, you're right though. You're totally right actually for that.
Yeah.
So okay, get back on track. Do you feel like you're successful right now? Like,
success is a complicated topic for me.
Okay.
Do I feel like I'm successful right now? No, not really.
Okay.
But then again, what does that mean, right?
Yeah.
Like, knowing myself and knowing my immediate family and kind of how everybody defines success and how everybody kind of is, I would deem myself, quote unquote, by their standards, the least successful of my immediate family. But success is what you, like Taeho said, success is what you want. Yeah, what you want it to be, right? I told myself very young, which is probably a super limiting belief, that I probably wasn't gonna make a lot of money.
Wow!
But
Really?
I knew when I was in like
realistic kid.
I knew when I was in like middle school.
Okay.
But one thing that I've never compromised on, and I've told my parents this like a million times, I want to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Thanks.
Whatever that means, wherever that takes me, like I'm standing on my own 10 toes, 2 feet, and I'm going to do what I want to do. I want to make music. I'm going to do that. And am I going to get paid $1 million for it? No. But I'm going to do it.
You never know. One day.
Yeah, you never know.
One day.
Make it happen.
One day.
I've had my parents and other people tell me, why don't you just get a government job? My dad is a bus driver. Why don't you just drive the bus like your dad? Because I don't want to.
Yeah.
Right? Like, success to me is being able to stand on your own 2 feet and like be happy and comfortable with the choices that you make in your life. I know that the things that I've chosen to do and the skills that I have and the skills I've chosen to cultivate, at least in the short term, aren't going to make me a lot of money, right? I've had to do alternate things like teaching in order to sacrifice for those things, but I can call myself successful in a way because I've chosen to persevere through a lot of things. I could have given up making music. This isn't making me any money. I don't want to do it. It's too hard. I can't perform. I need to go back to school. My degree isn't working out. But I feel like I've always had a relatively clear picture of who I am as a person, what I'm interested in, what I'm good at, and, you know, come hell or high water, that's what I'm going to do. Right. And that's led to arguments. That's led to fights with my parents where it's like, no, you got to do this, because like my parents are immigrants too. I'm an immigrant. Like I was born in Jamaica. Right. And my parents as well, like my parents are blue collar people. Like my dad, like I said, drives the bus, right?
Yeah.
For him, dreams that don't, like what is a dream? That's pointless. Like you need to have a plan and you need to make money. And for him seeing me, it's like, it seems relatively nebulous. Like he's just doing random stuff. Now he lives in Korea. He makes music. And he's sitting in a dark basement all the time. Like what is his plan?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't seem like he has a plan. And many days I don't feel like I have a plan. You know, I have a brother. Me and my brother are the same age. He's like my half brother. Like shout out Douglas. I love my brother. He's
shout out the family.
He's got, you know, his 3-story place that he's living in with his girlfriend and his, you know, his pets, and he drives his BMW. He's got his master's, his like good job and everything like that. And then there's me, like, you know, so there's times I look at him or I look at my dad who's like made a pretty good life for us, or my mom who's like been at this telecom company for like years and years and she's like doing all this management stuff. And I'm like, why couldn't I have been like that?
Wow.
You know, like why couldn't I have had a more business-like mindset? But then I have to come back and be like, you know what? I am who I am, and I'm proud of who I am, and that's success to me. You know, being able to, when push comes to shove, you know, press my back up against the wall and say, like, I'm happy with who I am.
Hell yeah.
And I've made the decision to do what I want to do and be who I want to be, and I'm not letting somebody come to me and tell me that that's wrong. So
at the end of the day, you're your individual self. Can't be comparing yourself to other people. Otherwise, you know, live unhappy forever, man.
I'm the only one that has to live my life. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day,
no one else is living your life for you.
Nobody else is gonna come in and when I have problems, fix my problems.
Yeah.
You know, like nobody's gonna pull me up by my bootstraps when I need help. You know, like at the end of the day, you know, I gotta stand on my own 2 feet. So that's success to me. You know, believing in yourself and following through on whatever your vision is. And for me, it just happens to be arts. You know, so yeah.
So in a way, you're successful.
Yeah. I'm successful in that way.
Yeah.
I would like to be
in
more.
Your way,
I would like to be more.
Of course, we would all want.
I would like to be more successful as far as like tangible things, you know, more listeners, bigger shows, more music. But
you're working your way up.
I see.
Yeah, I think all things considered, I'm not doing too bad. You know, EPs out, doing shows,
right?
Gain followers, go stream.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm trying, getting there.
Trust the process.
Yeah, trust the process for sure.
That's that slow grind.
Yeah.
You know?
It's not always a race.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta take your time.
Yeah, man. Life's not a race, it's a parade, yo. Everybody's float comes by eventually.
It does.
I like that. Actually, that's the first time hearing that one. I like that. It's a parade.
Everyone's float comes down eventually.
I like that. I think for me personally, if you ask me if I'm successful, monetary wise, I'm in university. Don't ask me there. You know, we're not going there yet. I haven't made the big bucks yet.
You're not even at a stage where you even got to worry about that. Like, you're a student.
Yeah,
I don't expect students to.
Obviously, I still worry about it, but you know, I think you're right for sure. It's not something that I have to stress too much about. I still live with my parents. Yeah. Obviously, over here, not, but you know, it's something that's always been in the back of my mind for sure. Again, coming with the immigrant perspective of being taught that money is important, right?
Canada's expensive too.
Yeah,
so
for sure. Canada's getting taxes and stuff. Oh yeah.
Why do you think I'm still out here?
I
think I'm not back there right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I think obviously in that instance, I haven't made the big bucks yet. I haven't had a full-time job yet. I've been in school the whole time, right? These guys have had full-time jobs, so they can speak on that. From a student's perspective, I think, I would say I'm pretty successful. I would like to believe it, right? But I think obviously, going back to what I said earlier, it's perspective, happiness, or, you know, being comfortable. Yeah. And I think I'm pretty comfortable where I am right now. I'm pretty happy, pretty satisfied. But I am a competitive person, so not that I'm comparing it myself with other people, but I want to better myself a little bit for sure, all the time. So in that instance, I will never be fully satisfied. Sort of a perfectionist, I think you could put it that way. I kind of like things to go the way they plan, but sometimes they don't. I'll give you hard on myself. But you know, if we exclude that much, I think just looking at exactly where I am right now, sitting in this room with you guys, I'd say I'm pretty satisfied. I'm out here in Korea, right? I'm almost graduating university. Hopefully, I get my degree and actually graduate.
Yeah, you're gonna
you will, man. You're a studious kid, studying always.
You know,
once again,
Mom, I'm working hard. Trust me,
bro. The stuff that you're doing, like, no BS. Like the stuff that you're doing now at your age, like I didn't even know that this stuff was even possible. Like coming on an exchange and like being your own man at like as young as you are, like I wasn't doing that when I was your age, and that was a long time ago. That was like 2011, 2012 or
could also be like it's a different time now too, right? For sure.
It's different, but it's like that's something that is incredibly impressive to me.
Right.
Like looking at you, and you know, like you hang with us, like we're older guys than you, but it's like that's something to be proud of, I think.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, man, of
Appreciate
course.
that a lot. Yeah. So I think I'm pretty satisfied and pretty successful. I think 2 really, really good friends. And that's back home. Love y'all too. I'm not trying to say no, but I'm trying to refer at least.
You're off the podcast.
I'll leave right now. No, I'm saying
2 friends. Is it us? We're the 2?
I mean, 2 friends here. Here we go. Perfect. No, I'm just referring to back home. Like I have my support system, right? Those 2 guys are like my rocks, Vincent and Alex. Shout out to those guys.
Yeah.
And they make me, you know, very happy, and we better each other, and so we force each other to work hard, to, you know, take school seriously, to make sure that we're on the right track and we keep ourselves in check. And I think within them, and thanks to them, obviously, I'd call myself pretty successful right now. Still got a long way to go. Still working hard every day, but from where I am right now, I'm pretty satisfied. Yeah. How about you, Will? I want to hear this.
Mr. Lee?
I mean, I haven't always. I used to think that like success is just monetary value as well. Like growing up, again, with my parents are immigrant parents as well. And they've always just kind of taught me like, okay, you grow up, go to school, get a job, earn money, you know, and then that's your life. You just continue to earn money.
Yeah.
Just work.
Earning money is
That's the
earning
end
money
goal.
is that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You make the monies. Okay, and then so back then that's all I ever thought. That's my drive to be like a human, I guess.
Make money.
Yeah, make money. And again, like this is also why like what Mike was saying, like it's very different from like what you're doing now is nothing that I would have ever imagined for me to do when I was like in university. You know, for me when I was in university, it was just like, okay, how do I get finished with school? How do I get a job? How do I impress my parents? How do I make sure that like I'm succeeding in their eyes? You know, so for me, success was back then was always like, okay, what do my parents think about me? Like, how do they value me as their son or as an individual? It was always reflective off of my parents. But then, you know, after coming to Korea, establishing myself, success is like not, money is very low for me now. Like it's like maybe 30% of what I care about now. And that's always been very tough for relationship between me and my parents, because I've always, you know, just pushed them away every time they're like, okay, when are you going to come back home? And when are you going to get a, you know, big boy job and start making sure that you're responsible, taking care of the family, taking care of the kid, or like your siblings. And I was like, no, it's not. I don't want to do that. It doesn't make me happy.
It's not my dream.
Yeah, it's not my dream. Like, money isn't that important for me anymore. Like, as long as I am, like you were saying back then, like as long as I'm not living paycheck to paycheck, or like as long as I'm not scraping for money, as long as I am happy in my version of happiness, then I don't really care too much about like the money, you know. And I so far like, fortunately for me, I like my job right now too. And so as long as I'm doing something that I'm happy, that's a version of success that I've already accomplished. And then the ultimate goal for success as of right now, as an individual person, outside of all of that, is just like, do I have the freedom to do and explore myself as an individual and be who I want to be, you know? And so far, it's been that way. I've been able to freely pursue like volleyball. I've been able to freely pursue podcasting or YouTube. You know, I've like been able to do things that most people, I guess, at least back in the States, are like, they're dying for time.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm not dying for time here. I have time to do what I want. And that's like the most important thing for me. Like, am I working because like, am I just trying to make money, and then what I do with that money, what I do after I'm done with work, I just repeat the cycle? Or do I want to like live my life? Do I want to like, okay, go to work, not suffer, not feel like a piece of shit at the end of the day?
Yeah.
And then actually feel like, oh, I can still do stuff.
Yeah.
I can still be and grow as an individual.
Yeah.
You know? And so that's, I feel like I'm working towards success now. I'm not like, I wouldn't say I'm ultimately successful yet, because I wouldn't say I have the biggest part of success right now for me is freedom and pursuing happiness.
Ooh.
And if I wanted to do that fully, it would be like full-time YouTube or full-time podcasting without having to like work another job, you know? And if I could do that, that would be like ultimate success for me. It doesn't matter how much money, like I don't need to be making millions off of YouTube. I just need to be making enough so that I can do it as as a job and as a hobby.
Yeah.
You know, all at the same time. Like continue to pursue happiness without having to make detours.
Of course.
Yeah.
But it gets to a dangerous point, I think, because there's a lot of people who pursue YouTube.
Right, for sure.
And I realized their perspective changes once they realize it's become like their full-time thing. And so some people, you know, see it as a hobby at first, and they get invested, but then once they realize, it's not easy to just be a YouTuber, right? They end up quitting and then going back to what they were doing. Right?
I think that happens with hobbies in general.
You're right. Yeah.
A lot of people will, like musicians, for example, like, or more specifically, like musical engineers, like people that do mixing and mastering stuff. They'll be like, oh, I want to do this as a job. And then they'll start receiving songs from other people to mix and master. And it's like they work on music all day, and now it's time to work on your music. And you're like, I just spent 12 hours working on music. Like, I don't want to do that. You know, or somebody is like a wedding musician or a wedding DJ or something, and they do weddings all day, and then now you got to go perform with your own band, like do whatever, and you're like, I'm tired, like I don't want to do that. So it is kind of dangerous. I think I agree with you. A lot of people, from what I've seen, that have been able to do their hobby semi-professionally, usually they like try and do like the way that they do it, at least with music. I don't know too much about the other ones, but they'll do genres that are completely different than theirs. Yeah, it's like their brain doesn't even factor in, like if they do rock music like for their own stuff, they'll do like classical.
Keep it like completely different.
It's just not even in the same realm. Or they'll make music like, and they'll do engineering, whatever, but then for their job they'll do live music. So it's still engineering and stuff, but it's like a completely different environment, so they can separate those two things. A lot of people also, they'll do their job, that like their hobby that turned into a job, in a completely different place, so they can separate their mind from it. Like, yeah, I may have a studio at my house, but I'm gonna go to an actual studio because it allows me to like separate those two things from each other. So I think that's another good way to kind of beat that if you know you wanted to do that kind of thing full time.
For sure. I mean, like anything you do continuously and repetitively, it can get like tiring.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think that's also like bouncing off of that. Like, I think that's what I want. Like, I want the freedom to be able to choose. Hey, I can do this version of what I want to do of happiness. You know, whereas people like, as of right now, I don't really have the freedom to choose. I have some freedom in a sense, but I don't have the freedom to be like, okay, like I'm going to do a podcast as the main hobby thing or whatever. And then on the side, I can do like, volleyball videos or whatever, you know? Right now, it's just like, okay, I got to do this one thing. Yeah. And then most of my other time is like, I got to teach. Yeah. You know? Yeah. So I want to finish this off really quick. What do you guys think you need right now to reach, you know, your ideal peak of success then? What is that one token thing that you need?
You want to go for it?
I don't even have an answer to this question.
It's a tough question.
The one thing that I need, $10 million. I mean,
it goes back to money.
But like, no, if we're being real, I think the one thing that I need is like, I would need to refine my skills to a point where I could make money off of it. Like, I'm a musician, yes, but I also do a lot of the engineering stuff. And like, in order for me to kind of do like what you said, like do what I like to do and not have to do jobs I don't want, is I would need to be good enough and have a reliable enough income, like whether that be through like freelancing or just like a steady audio-based job.
Or even enough viewers to back you up on your main goal,
Yeah, in order to have the freedom to kind of do things the way that I want. But even outside of music in general, I think just to be successful in the way that I defined it, I think I just need to have, just like have the bravery to kind of just, and the faith in myself to really believe that the things that I want to achieve, I can achieve.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Yeah, I think it's like more of I need mental stability and mental peace in order to be as successful as I want to be, because there's always that nagging feeling in the back of your head, like, this isn't safe. Yeah. You know, like you got to go get another job. Like you got to do this thing that you don't like to do because, you know, what happens if it doesn't work out? Like you have the imposter syndrome and everything like that. And it's
for sure, I felt that.
So it's like, I think a good, healthy mind is what I need the most in order to be the level of successful that I want to be.
That's a good answer. I like that. I think personally,
finish school.
Okay. There's a lot of goals, obviously, right? Like the direction I definitely want to finish school. I'm working hard.
Wish you well. Yes.
I'm working hard. Finish school, and then from there, I'm not too I don't quite have like a set goal yet, because I feel like if life will take me where it needs to take me, right?
No worries. You're still.
Don't set any. Don't set any yet.
I was actually, I used to be really, really stubborn like that, where like if things didn't go my way, it bothers me a lot. And sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, it still does, right? But I'm starting to break out of that habit. my wonderful girlfriend who supports me a lot has actually helped me to realize that like life's not always going to go the way that you want it to go.
For sure.
And so I need to take a step back, reflect, look where I'm at, right? And understand that I do have a great support system, right? I have a lot of friends that I've met through volleyball, like you guys. You know, my girlfriend, the two rocks at home, Vincent and Alex, my boys, my parents who are always been very, very supportive. And so I think in that aspect, I am successful. But I still have my own goals, which means to graduate, start working, you know, and make sure that I can develop a support system for myself, just individually as a person as well.
And I just need to continue developing until you can see.
I think you did learn something like early since you were younger. Like that's very, very crucial. That like, because a lot of people, they hold on to the belief that, like me included, I'm one of these people, like they have this view of like what life is going to be.
For sure.
And they hold on to like, this is what's going to happen. Like if I keep pushing this way, this is what's I'm going to end up with. This is the reward for doing it the right way.
Yeah, it's going to be A, B, C, D, and you're good. There's no in between.
And I think keeping yourself open to possibilities will not only make you happier, but also lead you into potentially better opportunities than what you even thought that you could have, you know, because the world is full of opportunities. It's just that a lot of times people's eyes are closed to them because they have blinders on. They're looking for one thing.
Tunnel vision, straight looking ahead.
And you miss things to the side when you're just looking straight ahead. So I think learning that early is very, very
super important.
Yeah.
I think I'm very appreciative of, like, you know, that I met people like you guys who are, you know, not calling y'all old or anything, but more wiser, right? And it's someone, you know, you guys are people that I can go out and talk to or just play volleyball with, and then I learn a lot from, because as a young age, you know, you don't have that experience that you guys do, the extra years that you've already been through. And so having these conversations like this, especially like over dinner after, like, you know, after ball or something, it's good.
It's
I'm
really
appreciative of that. I'm really grateful.
It's super helpful to like relax the mind, expand it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I think right now for me, I think it goes back to my mentality too. Like, I just need to be more on top of things. I just feel like I'm lazy. I'm like you guys might think I'm like a pretty hardworking dude, or maybe some of my viewers do. I don't know.
I think you're hardworking.
I'm like,
I mean, you work hard.
Super lazy, man.
Like this is work.
Yeah, you're working hard.
And I was here last week, so it's not like you're not doing anything.
Hey, you're working hard too.
Yeah, you're working hard too.
Trying to.
Yeah. But I just need to be more on top of things. Like, I need to be more consistent. Actually like really pursue the things that I want.
Yeah.
In terms of like pursuing that happiness and that freedom. I just need to be more on top of things. Yeah.
The one thing I can respect for sure is you say that, but you're still doing it, right? Like, you say, I'm lazy. Sometimes I don't want to do this. But I think the biggest thing I realized with you since I've known you is that even if you do say those things, you still go out there and do it. And that's like the really respectable thing, is that you're still consistent with it. Like, you may have inconsistent days for sure, but on days like where you say, oh, I don't want to do this, and then you still go in and do what you want to do, like, you would realize that's what you got to do.
Thanks, man.
Hard work, yeah.
You don't let bad days turn into bad weeks, turn into bad months, turn into bad years, you know? Like, there's people that it's, like you said, they'll be like, oh, well, I'm lazy and I can't do anything about it. And then they don't do anything about it.
Yeah.
And it's just a self-perpetuating thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's one thing to do that. It's another thing to say, I have things to work on and I'm working on it. But while I'm working on these things, I'm still pressing ahead and doing something. I think it makes a world of difference. Showing up is like 90% of the work.
For sure.
So.
Yeah, facts.
In case no one has told you guys, I'm proud of y'all today.
Don't
know what y'all did in your days too much, but I'm
big
proud
hugs.
of y'all. You're working hard. You're working hard.
Yeah, man.
Yo, with that,
men gotta show each other love more.
For sure, for reals, man.
Yeah,
we gotta love each other more, because
we're starting that.
Yeah,
you know? We're starting the men love circle. You know, as weird as that sounds.
Yeah, love yourself. All right, with that, I think I'm gonna end this podcast here. It was great like little segment with you guys. Thank you so much for hopping on.
Thank you,
Mike. You want to give yourself a little plug?
Yeah, man. In case you guys didn't see the last video, my name is still Saint Mike. From Toronto.
Saint Mike.
You can catch me on Instagram, Twitter. My music is all over the place. Spotify, YouTube, SoundCloud, Apple Music, etc., etc. At the Saint Mike, TheStmike. And like I said, I'm super personable. Shoot me a message if you guys feel like it. I always respond. So
Yeah. And thank you so much, Taeho, for hopping on your first time. I know you're kind of nervous, but
Yeah.
you know, you do.
Cool.
You did
job.
amazing. Yeah.
It
That's
was
great.
fun. Appreciate
Yeah.
you guys. You know, well, thanks for having us
Yeah,
on here,
of course.
obviously. It was a good time.
Yeah. You want to plug yourself? All right. Nah.
Yeah, I mean, you can follow me on Instagram at t.kimster, you know, that's t.kimster. If you have any questions, if anyone has any questions on
Study abroad.
and that kind of stuff, hit me up.
Yeah, for sure. Until next time, guys, thanks for watching, listening. Make sure you guys comment, like, subscribe. Bye.
Later.
Peace out, guys.
Yeah.
All right. Well done.
Well done.